think this is what Women in Tech is really about for me. It's seeing great role models on stage, gaining new insights, and also the networking. So to meet all these great people. So thank you for today.
As an engineer, I'm so happy that we have been focusing today on AI, or rather AI technologies that are driving business and giving us a lot of opportunities.
So yeah, when meeting all these inspiring women here today, I get truly happy and inspired, and I'm so looking forward to the 8th of March at Women in Tech in Folkets Hus.
Stephanie Skogsberg. I'm a senior consultant here at EY. I mostly work with IT risk and cybersecurity. I have a master's in computer science as well, and I really enjoy tech. I love working with it, and I love that we're so many people here today who also obviously love tech. Let's just keep on to the agenda because we have a tight schedule. Before we go into all the agenda points, I just want to tell you some important stuff, so the practical things, before I forget about it. Emergency exits and bathrooms. You have them at the end of the hall up the stairs, in the background here around the corner, and close to the exit. So anytime you need them, just run over there. And as I said, we're here to talk about the highlights from AI in Sweden 2019 and beyond. This will be presented by EY and Microsoft together. Then we have a Women in Tech panel talking about how to develop your career in tech. After this, we will have a small wrap-up, and after this, some refreshments. So you will stay in this room the whole time, actually. So basically, welcome so much here today, and I will introduce to you now our partner for tech, telecom and media, Fossum Strannegård.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And I will talk about a benchmark study that we conducted here together with Microsoft, actually, on artificial intelligence last year, during the summer last year. And I will talk about some of the findings and opportunities that our customers see in using AI, also some of the challenges and risks, and also what they are investing in and not investing in. So we talked to 277 companies in Europe. I will today, during this presentation, talk about mainly the findings here in Sweden. But if you are interested in other countries, just let me know and we can talk about it after. We have talked to approximately 20 companies here in Sweden, and in all sectors that you can imagine. No real focus in any sector, I would claim. 15 countries were present, and we have been doing this now. It took us approximately 2 months. This is a study that normally would take us 6 months, and the reason why it was quicker this time was actually that we used an AI tool called AI Embryonic, I think the name is. And AI Embryonic is a tool that we use to gather market intelligence and to get lots of insight that we couldn't do rapidly before. And this tool, in particular in this study, was used to gather information about investments and M&A acquisitions that have been made. And these are the clients that we talk to here in Sweden. I know that some of you represent some of the clients that we have here up on the list. And you can see that it's mainly large customers that we have talked to. And no real reason for that, actually, but this is normally how we conduct the studies. So we normally first talk to the larger companies, and then sometimes we do benchmark studies also on SMB markets. But these are the clients who were involved here in the Swedish market. And how we do it is that we first have deep dive interviews with top management, and then we use online surveys also to gather lots of information from the organization. So what does the organization say about AI? What do they focus on currently? And we try then to understand exactly what they are doing currently in the system. Top management, the reason why we speak to them is obviously to understand what will they invest in going forward? What will they focus on? Do they think that this is an important topic? And do they think that this is something that will, in one way or another, influence the entire organization? That's the reason why we do it in that way. And there's lots of different definitions on AI. I was not planning to go into that today because many of you are experts in this topic. But this is how we decided to define AI in this benchmark study. And it's important to do so, obviously, because otherwise you can have a miscommunication with the interview during the interviews. So we have, for example, not added RPA or traditional robotics. So we have taken the more advanced RPA or smart robotics is the only topic that we have found. Now, if we look at this definition here in Sweden, most of our customers are talking about machine learning and natural language processing. You will see that on the findings later. If we talk to clients more in Asia, they will talk more about the areas on the left-hand side. So in Europe right now, the focus a lot is on machine learning and MPL. That's obvious from this study. But what is it really that this study is saying, and what is it not saying? Well, it's clear that most companies in Europe are not really so far in their AI projects, or haven't really identified what to use AI, in what areas to use AI. They are in the planning phase, they are in the piloting phase, but have not released so many things in their operations yet. However, all of them are claiming or saying that they think that AI will be something that they will invest more in, and AI will definitely be something that will change their entire organization going forward. So they have definitely high expectations on what AI can bring to their organization. What we also found was that only 10% of the clients so far have been using M&A as a tool to get access to either products or get access to competence. This is quite a low number, and we believe that this is something that will grow. And if we do this benchmark study again next year, that number will most likely increase. What most companies also are saying in Europe is that this is a super important topic. However, if we look at the Swedish numbers, these are the European numbers. The pink numbers in my presentations is Europe, and the blue numbers going forward will be the Swedish numbers. And in Sweden, we believe even stronger that AI will tremendously change the organization, and that it also will impact core business and also the new business that they are planning to run in the future. And Swedish companies in general feel that they are a bit further ahead compared to European companies. In Europe, they are still on piloting and planning. In Sweden, we are saying that we already have released or even are advanced in artificial intelligence. And that's not so common, actually, because Swedish people in benchmark studies are not the ones who normally brag and use big letters and big words. So that's quite interesting. And the question is Sweden in the forefront when it comes to AI? Is Swedish companies quicker to adapt new technology than other companies would be? That's something that is obviously super important. What the companies here in Sweden say that they think is a little bit challenging going forward is they don't feel currently that they have the talents and the competence that they need to take it to the next level. So they are a bit afraid that there will be a war of talent, a war for talent here in Sweden, and that they might have a challenge to attract people that want to work with this area and or have the companies already that they require currently. And that's definitely for the Swedish ones. Now, if we look at the what the companies found most useful, what technology or what area within AI will you as a company focus on, or are you focusing on? Then the Swedish numbers, which is the blue dots, you can see that it differs a little bit from the European numbers. And machine learning is something that comes on top both in Europe and in Sweden. However, in Sweden, they also feel that natural language processing will be super important going forward. Trying to understand what their users think and how they think when they are interacting with me as a customer or me as a company. Is this person angry when they write to the customer services desk, or is the person happy? That's something that Swedish companies find extremely valuable and would like to understand more of and are testing in their current operations today in a higher extent, than they do in Europe, where machine learning is way bigger, and most companies that are focusing on AI today say that machine learning is where they started, which maybe is not so strange. This is a curve. You will see the maturity curve. Where are they? We have divided it into normal phases. Are you today focusing at all on AI? Have you started to plan anything? Are you piloting? Have you released something? Are you super advanced? Remember now that when we speak to the clients, they do a self-assessment. We do not go in and check whether the data or whether what they say is correct or not. The Swedish companies say over 50% of the Swedish companies have already passed the piloting phase. They have already released, or they feel that they are advanced. That's a very high number compared to our peers in Europe. And again, what's the reason for that? Are we quicker? Are we more willing to test? Do we have better competence than other countries? Most likely not. But we are quick. I mean, historically, we have seen that Swedish companies are quite quick to adapt and use new technology. And we have also lots of companies here who definitely have focused on this in the beginning. However, if you look at Sweden as a country, we see that from a government perspective, we cannot say that the Swedish government, compared to other governments in Europe, have taken a big stand and really said that AI is something that we 100% will focus on and build lots of AI centers and put lots of money into it, not to the same extent as what they are doing right now in UK and in France. So many of these companies are a bit afraid that there will be a strong center and that people definitely will focus and maybe leave from Sweden and go to UK, because there the government is just pushing in money into AI centers, research and moral ethic type of centers that they are building up. I mean, we have to a certain extent also that here in Sweden, but UK definitely started way earlier. But for some reason, companies here in Sweden feel that they are a bit in the forefront and have already dared to put things into their operation and have tried things in the market. And that's interesting, obviously, which means that maybe when we look at the results on why the Swedish companies are saying that they believe in AI a bit more than other companies do in Europe, that's obviously because they have tried more, they have tested more, they have seen the results of their pilots, and maybe they also see the advantages of AI, whereas other companies are still testing, trying to understand. They don't have the results yet. Most likely one of the reasons why, at least. If we break it, not look at countries, if we break it on sectors, it might not be so strange to see that TMT, the sector technology, media and telecoms, feel that they are more in the forefront maybe than other industries. What I found a bit interesting, given the situation in CPR, retail, is that many companies there have not even started yet to look at AI. And everyone knows that the retail industry are struggling a bit from a financial perspective. I mean, we have many strong retail companies here in Sweden. And the reason that retail are claiming that they haven't really come so far is that they currently believe or think that they don't have the companies competence that they require in order to conduct these pilots and really understand why they should use AI and how they should go about it. So I guess, or I believe, that in 1 year from now, if we run a similar benchmark study, I would not be surprised if CPR is way higher in this list. Because when we speak to the retail industry and ask them about if they feel that this is one of the competitive advantages for the future, everyone would say yes. So lots of companies are starting now. Whereas in tech, media and telecom, they feel that they already have competence, they have strong teams internally within their own premises, and they can start to run R&D projects. They started and tested way earlier, which is maybe not so strange. Yes, tourism is included in services, correct. So where are the relevant use cases? That's something that most companies are currently asking and discussing internally. Looking at this picture, most companies say that they will use AI to automate things. So what does that mean? Well, that would mean the reason might be to reduce OpEx. The reason might be to get a higher data quality. But that's just some of the reasons why. So automate is something that comes high on the list. And you can see the Swedish numbers, 95% claim or say that they definitely will use AI to automate things or are already doing it today. To predict things, I would like to predict predictive maintenance. I'd like to understand whether this wire will fall down or not, or whether there will be some mistake in my infrastructure. That's another area that's scored very high. And then to generate insights, obviously, in different ways. There could be to generate insights of my clients. It could be to generate insights of my competitors. And that's something I'd like to use AI for. And then the question is, a big question that comes up, do my customer want me, my current customer base, do they want me to generate insights of me and have an AI robot trying to sniff around in social media and understand what I'm writing on social media, and through that intelligence generate insights and maybe offer me new products and services? Is that something we would like? Or is it something that we would not think is a positive thing? Well, that's something that obviously is discussed frequently in the companies across Europe right now. I think I've talked about that already. There's 8 different capabilities that the companies are saying will be super important for them going forward. Some of this is definitely a bit state the obvious. It's obviously very important to have control of your data. If you're going to use AI, it's important to have control of data non-dependent, one would claim. But that's something that comes very high and is scored very high, and definitely in Europe and in Sweden as well. In Sweden, what we say as companies that is most important for us is to have an open culture, so that we have a possibility to do things, to test and try, experiment. That is the competence we feel that is most important in order to have a success with AI. And the second most important thing is we talk about AI leadership, that it starts from the top and that we have strong leaders who can lead in change. Maybe not so strange either. The area that is on top, if we talk to companies in Europe, is definitely not leadership. It's definitely not open culture. It's more getting access to the right skills and people who understand computer science, and so that we can have control of our set of data. That's what they would say in Europe. So that differs a bit from where we are right now. All companies that we talk to are saying that there are lots of advantages with AI. Now there's also, all of them are saying that it's also a risky business to move into AI, especially top managers are a bit afraid. And why are they afraid? Well, the main reason is the regulatory requirements that might change and are now being discussed in EU as we speak. Will I put money into an area that in the future is not allowed, where I'm not allowed to use AI in the future? Medicine, law, it could be lots of different areas. And if I now do lots of investments and I now put all my organization into a specific area, and then that will be a waste of money in the future. So that's a risky area, and they feel that they're not really on top of the discussions in EU right now. So that everyone would say that that's an area that they need to have control of. The second is loss of control. And what does that mean? Well, it's when we speak to top managers, they feel that it feels even more challenging to use AI and put it in front and use that in the organization, given that I, as a top manager, is legally responsible for the output. I mean, the top manager is responsible for the output non-dependent, whether it's a robot or whether it's a human doing things, but they feel that this is something that it's difficult to trust that we have the right set of data going into this robot and making sure that it's the right output. The risk that I feel is that the problem, if a human being would do something, the volume of the problems will be smaller. If we have a robot doing something, the problem can be super big and go out to lots of people and a wider proportion in the customer base. And that's something that scares apparently top managers today, and one of the barriers. The third one is, do I bet on the right technology or not? There's lots of different technology out there. It's a big investment for me. And am I now betting on a technology that in 3 months' time will be maybe something that is forgotten and maybe not the right one? And the question is, are these really risks that one need to be afraid of? And that's something that I would like Annica from Microsoft to respond to. And Microsoft have then been our partner in this benchmarking study. So welcome.
Tackar. Thank you. So, coming from Microsoft, a big tech company, is not really used to seeing all these women in the audience. It's usually not this beautiful. But anyhow, so Annica Wallenbro Stojcevski is my name. I am business group lead in Microsoft for Azure. That means all the infra and applications moving to cloud and all the data and AI. So I lead the business here in Sweden. But I wanted to take this short, brief moments with you is to talk about what we as Microsoft are thinking about and acting on when it comes to mitigating all these concerns that the customers might have or you might have. So that's really quick. So starting with the middle one, loss of control. I mean, loss of control is basically a concern of trust. Do I trust my people? As Marie said, AI or people doing jobs should be the same. Do I have a trust in the organization, and do I trust technology? And what we see when we talk about AI, we talk about AI as amplifying human ingenuity, meaning that we have to work together with AI. We don't leave AI up to do things that we don't control or are part of as humans. So that is one really important topic, even if it's helping from assistance, AI assistance of doing simple tasks, or taking advantage of AI to sort of see patterns in big data and find out new solutions to really hot topics. We do that together with AI, and we have tons of examples of that. So if you want to, I can talk with you about those later on. But what I feel that we need to have in order to come across this trust for AI is sort of a common knowledge about what AI actually is. What is an algorithm? Can I trust this source? We had a few years ago, the business started to go around IT, starting to create something called shadow IT, meaning that they bought CRM systems like in a click. And yeah, we don't go to IT, they cannot solve our problem, we do it by ourselves. And we see that could be a topic as well for AI algorithms, buying services that includes AI that IT doesn't have control of. And when that happens, you will lose control in your organization. So it's really important to have this governance model of your algorithms within the organization, led from IT and from the business together, so that you trust the vendors that you are buying solutions from, and find out if, do the recommendations from this AI really is compliant to what we feel. So that is something really important in mitigating these loss of control, trying to get everyone, even business, not only the data scientists, to understand what AI is. The next one is the regulatory requirements that we are not seeing yet. And as Marie said, that this is discussed in EU and worldwide as we speak. And what we have, as Microsoft, we are involved in that. All big tech companies are involved in these organizations to see how we together can come up with some sort of regulatory requirements. And in Sweden, we are also working with the Digitaliseringsrättsutredningen and the government. We are really working together with them to find out how this is useful for Sweden. But in the meantime, we cannot stop this development. So when we develop AI solutions, we have these sort of principles in our backbone. When our developers back in Seattle are producing products, these are the principles that we work upon. And this is something that is starting even to become like medical, they swear, not in Sweden, but in other countries, they swear an oath when they become a doctor. So we're joking in this business that perhaps a developer or data scientist should swear an oath to stick to these principles. So let's start with that. So that would be something. Maybe US will come up with that. The next one, the concern that we are working, of course, the most with is, do I bet on the best horse, the right horse, or will the solution that I buy just simply go out of stock? So upkeeping the systems. And what I will show you now is of course like this value prop for Azure, our cloud, and putting AI in Azure. And I won't do a marketing pitch for you, but something to keep in mind, that these 4 pillars that I will show you now is something to keep in mind when you are looking into AI. And the first one is that it should be a really productive platform for all developers to work in. Is it simple? Is it fast enough? So it's not something that needs a lot of training. Is it a platform for us to collaborate within data sciences and business and developers? So that is something that is really crucial. I won't go into what we have, but you know that we are the productive company, as we own Office, as we all love, as a productive tool, and we have a lot of tools for developers as well. One other thing is that all companies are not the fastest of moving into cloud. They have a huge on-premise IT. And for many solutions, you have to develop an algorithm that works on cloud, and then you have to do another algorithm that works on that system. But this is also something to think about. When you invest in building something, where is it supposed to live? Is it to be lived in our systems or in the edge, you know, all the connected devices out there, the cars, the refrigerators, your watch, or what have you? Or is it to be working on towards the data on premise? So that is something to keep in mind. And you probably can understand what Microsoft is answering, the answer to that. One big topic when we talk about this war on skills or war on talent that we have is what kind of competence do you have within your organization? What do you have? What language do you speak when it comes to developing solutions? And lately, Microsoft has been really open to the open source community. That is something rather new for being Microsoft, but since Satya Nadella became CEO, he really changed how we see upon open source. So all these languages and even more services within the open source community is integrated into Microsoft Azure today. And that is something really important, because when you have the knowledge to work with these kind of technologies, but you can use it within Azure for the last part, the trust one. So if you work in the platform that is within Microsoft, you are protected with your IP, because we protect that for you. You are due to be GDPR compliant, or have the opportunity to be GDPR compliant, and so on. So this is something that we really work every single day on, to be this trust company, to follow the ethics of AI. So really short, what's next? If you chosen the right horse, you have the government in place for the algorithms, what's next? So this is a slide that we use to talk about digital transformation within organizations. And these 4 blue bubbles is areas where digital transformation happens. In every company, you can see that either way they are transforming their products because they are in a business that is disrupt, or they have to empower their employees, or they have to engage customers, or optimize operations. Every company has to think of all these 4, but everyone is starting somewhere, and it differs between industries where they start. I mean, manufacturing, optimizing operations, retail, engage customers, that is their core topic. And everything comes together, data is pulled in, analyzed, and then pulled back to the organization. So this is the digital transformation sort of view. And one thing that really, we talked about retailers, and we have one big retailer in Sweden. I don't know which H&M is here today, but their head of AI, Arti, he's really talking about AI as, we don't have any AI projects within H&M, he says. We only have business projects. And I think that is something that is really, really important. When you go into doing AI, do it within this business digitalization transformation that the company is already on. And I think that is one key where Sweden, we see that Sweden has come further, or farthest. Thank you. When it comes to adopting AI, I think that is due to that we have a good culture of collaboration. We collaborate really well in Sweden, but when it comes to business and IT, that is not really the topic in every country. Because if you are doing projects when it comes to AI, you have to work together with business and IT. So that is crucial. The last thing that I also wanted to give you is to be patient in these projects, because it's going to take time. It's going to take time to find the projects, to get the sponsor for the projects, and then to develop the projects, and then, of course, to really see the value. And you know that the leadership teams is not always that keen on waiting for results, but stick in there. And we have a lot of examples where IT and business has worked together with to develop these kind of AI projects, so they have a good ROI. So that is the last thing that I want to give you, and I know that Marie, do you have some other next step from the report?
This stage is not made for a woman in skirt. So, just to wrap up this before we start with the panel. So what are the companies saying? What is super important going forward in order to get a success in AI? Very quickly, they are saying maybe choose a step-by-step approach. Well, the most important thing is make sure you understand why to use AI. Is that what they are saying? You have to find the business problem first. It's not just the tool itself, AI. It's really to identify the issues that you want to solve, and the AI is a tool like many other tools that you can use, obviously. Make sure that you have the leadership in place. You have a top-down approach, is what many are saying. They think it's important. Make also sure that you have the data in control. That's something that everyone here around this stage already know. And then be a little bit bold and dare to try and dare to fail, which is something that you have to do in all new projects